Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coming in Hot, the All-Star Edition, if you will, brought to you by Seagram's VO. Happy to be in the same room with one Bobby Ryan who can't afford shoes and Jason York.
I can afford shoes. I don't wear them unless I'm on a date or
like
a
what's
wedding.
happened to you?
I don't know. It's 40 degrees out and I'm quite comfortable.
Oh, Wally, I want you to put like a big blonde wig on right now. I feel like I'm like Wayne and Garth here. We're all together. We're on the couch here.
You think I'm more Garth, eh?
I'm waiting for you to go.
Fair
Just
enough.
dated myself with that one, by the way.
Yeah, no one in the chat knows anything about
Who the
Wayne
hell
Garth.
is Wayne's World?
Yeah. By the way, did you notice behind you we have merch that we can steal?
Come
the
on.
way out? Yeah.
I like the one with
Yeah.
with the microphone.
We'll get you an employee discount.
We don't sell
Yeah.
any merch.
We're going to.
Okay.
That's what. This is like. We're
Yeah.
just showing it in the background to get interest.
They're gonna be walking around Nashville,
I gotta
flying
say-
those flags.
This is surreal right now. Like we're, like you said, all in the same room here. A little far away from Bob here,
yeah,
though.
yeah.
Do you guys want to? Well, okay. Get comfortable.
The microphones went that way. There's nothing I could do about it.
Do you want to tell them how we? So I haven't seen you since I want to say you left the Canadian Tire Center when we knew you probably wouldn't be back. That locker cleanout day.
You guys knew.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
Well,
I had every. Well, my house was for sale, so I must have known something.
So I ended up going to the business center today, and Bob is in the gym. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go in and say hi. I haven't seen him. So I walk in. As I do, he turns because he's got his headphones on. Now he's looking at the window. He's doing the curls. So I grab the 5-pound weight. I put my foot up on the weight bench, and I'm just giving it like I'm working my ass off. And he doesn't turn around, and it's like I'm 30 into this now. And
Your arms tired.
yeah, like this is a 5-pound weight, man. This is heavy.
I saw two guys in the gym today. One working out, and one starting, and then
That's
one
right.
coming in pretending.
Thursday's my off day.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
We all need one.
Anyway, so then we tried to have a handshake. It was very awkward, and so now here we are.
There we go.
So
Good to be in person with you guys.
yeah, it's good to see you, Bob. I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, it was not the easiest trek, but I'm here.
The flight seemed to go well.
Yeah, it was great. I pulled into parking and it said, "Do you have a 2-hour delay?" I was like, "All right, well, you're already here. You can't go home, so you're just kind of pot committed to going inside and wandering Nashville's
How'd you
airport."
get out of the middle seat?
So I originally checked in and had that, and I was like, "Thank you, Nation."
Shout out to Nation Network.
Yeah, thank you guys. So I checked myself back out and said, "I'm just gonna try this and hammer this a couple different times in case something opens up." So I got 26D, and I sat like this for a solid 2 hours. So just ruined a T-shirt. Thanks.
Welcome to my world. Okay. Now you know why. After 20 years of flying around,
Yep.
I might be a little salty.
A little salty. I was salty yesterday too, and then tough Uber ride down, caught a traffic going back. It's just been a long couple days, but we got it off. We're here.
All right, good to see you. This is a good time to remind both of you that I did pick the Sens to win last night, and neither one of you did.
Oh, you didn't, Yorkie?
I picked.
You have. I have it written down.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
All right, so we didn't give up any
no.
ground to anybody that's really threatening
Yeah,
us
he's
right now, so we're
he's
good.
got no
I
clue.
thought I gave up ground to
God.
to Yorkie
No.
there. All right, good.
But what I saw in that game last night, and you guys can tell me about this, it felt like it was the holiday break is coming, and both teams knew it. There was no hits. There was it was a
No
fairly
hitter? uneventful
uneventful game, and no retribution. There was 8 penalties called in the game.
Yeah.
Or
I,
8 penalty
I had
marks,
to
should
watch
say.
the replay this morning because you and I were out last night.
We're not discussing anything.
Yeah, you're speaking of salt. You should have seen him last night.
What
He
goes on
was-
the road stays on the
He
road.
was salty last night.
That's it. I was just licking the windows of the hotel room. I was like, I'm staying in.
But that game I watched pretty closely this morning. I know it wasn't the greatest of hockey games, but I'll say this: a couple really good things in that game. We've been talking a lot about Shabbat, and he's starting to play some of his best hockey. I thought he was really good. Korpisalo again. That's two games in a row now, right, guys?
Yeah.
Baby steps. So that's 2 good games for him after having that shellacking in the one game. So that's a good sign. And boy, oh boy, Bob and I were talking about this before. Pinto, like what a game from Shane Pinto, and it's easy to say, yeah, he got the overtime winner. That's why he played well. No, like all game long, Wally, this guy was creating. He's always on the right side of the puck. He made that great little play to Brady to spring him on that breakaway. It just goes to show you I know you have some stats for later. How important this kid is in their lineup? Like he's been impressive for a guy that's missed so much time.
I couldn't agree more. I thought more so than any offense from him, I think, is a bonus. I think he's got to provide a little bit in that third line role, wherever he's going to slot. So he was good in that. I watched the first period again this morning, and I thought he was very, very good. It just, again, they don't have enough guys that play the right way every shift. He does that. So he adds an element that they're missing. The Sens have a lot of, and I don't like the word one-dimensional, but a lot of goal-scoring, point-producing players, and not enough guys that just continuously stay on the right side of the puck, make life hell coming through the neutral zone, and he does that. So it's no doubt that they've been better since he's been back in the lineup.
They had, and I know that the power play percentage has been rotten since the coaching change. But
4 for 32 at 12.5%.
Yeah, so rotten's maybe an understatement. But, they got Pinto, Bob, back in that bumper position, and they had Giroux. It was Giroux, Pinto, Tkachuk, Norris, and I believe Shabbat. They had some good looks. Like Pinto has a knack for getting that little seam, and Giroux does that little slide pass. Then if they go over to cover the slide pass, he goes down to Brady, and then Brady can do the bump play. It's interesting. Like they're getting. I thought the power play looked really good last night. There are a lot of good things. I know the stats don't show it, but again, it's Pinto. He's that right stick in that spot. I know Batherson's doing it too, but Batherson's been the least of their problems on the power play. He's been one of the bright spots. He's been really good, but they're. It's going to be interesting come trade deadline, man, because they're. I still think something's coming. I really do.
Well, we can get to that in a sec. There is I want to talk about, because you said after 20 games we'll know who they are. They just played 20 games, so we'll get to that in a sec. But in this game, are you seeing this team? They're 6-2-2 in their last 10 games. We're just seeing a different team, it seems. Perhaps, or they're just getting it now. They're not giving up all the scoring chances they used to. I think in the 20 games, I think they're plus 84 in shots for and against. They've just done a lot of stuff, it seems, really well of late. That Detroit game, not exciting, but that's exactly the way Jacques Martin would want it to be.
I agree, and you made the comment. The game was half those guys were on a beach.
Oh,
right? And
they were gone.
And I said to somebody last night, Ottawa would have played that game, flown home, and some of those guys were just going home to pick the girlfriends up and going right back to the airport. So there's nothing worse than getting hurt going into that, because then you're like,
Jake.
Yeah.
Sanders.
So we hope that
out in the first period.
Yeah, he might be sitting in Ottawa right now. But
I didn't see anything happen to him.
I didn't either.
I went back and looked.
Yeah.
I watched the shifts. That last shift, he just skates to the bench. I didn't see any kind of. So it's lower body. Does that typically mean a groin?
Groin, knee tweak a lot too. Like you just kind of. You get that inner knee pain that can kind of happen if you just catch a rut, right? Like sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. I have no clue, because I didn't even see a stride that made.
No,
sense.
that's what.
He could. He a lot of times when you see a guy skate off and he's not limping or anything, it's you could pop your groin, so you just feel a little pop, and all of a sudden you know your groin's done, and you know you can't come back from that.
I did that every training camp.
I did
With Winnipeg.
They can't prove it. But it's really good.
Swear.
Just a couple days of ice.
Right?
Jerry.
I swear the groin. The groin and the back. Two things that a trainer cannot prove if it's good or bad. Is that the Winnipeg flu?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Hey.
The preseason Winnipeg flu.
Do not do Winnipeg. Is finally, before we move on, about playing. There was a lot made about this retribution over Dylan Larkin, even Artem Zub. They had 8 penalty minutes, 2 tripping, 2 hooking. The only people that knew Matthew Joseph was on the ice were the fans, because they booed him the first time he touched the puck. That's it. Is there such a thing anymore in the league of retribution outside of taking Connor McDavid out for the season?
Well, who were the 2 teams that just played? Florida they had 2 fights in the first minute and a half. Lomberg fought somebody at center ice, and then somebody else did. That was the only, and it was a retribution game, because I remember seeing it pop up everywhere. So there are instances of it, but I just think that everybody that probably was on the ice in that thing, by the time they were done talking about it, they were over it. And really, when you looked at it, And I'm sure the Red Wings looked at it and were like, it wasn't much.
Yeah.
The only person that really should have gotten retribution was maybe David Perron. Like, he was the only uninnocent person in the entire thing. But he's not fighting anybody, so I like that they just played and let it go.
So does Brendan Gallagher have that kind of when he's coming back to the ice?
Who did he hit again?
Oh, he gave somebody the people's elbow. Who did he get with
St.
that one?
Louis?
Was it Parade? No, I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe, but
No, Adam Pelech.
Adam Pelech. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you
The Islander game. Yeah.
Well, Zub got it in that game, right? In
Yeah.
front of that. Like, so is Zub standing up before the game? Boys, come on. I need you to avenge me.
I have a
broken
feeling Zoom
Rush.
forgot about it, eh?
Yeah. But like, who on Detroit's going to do something?
No, yeah.
Who is their tough guy? Who's Detroit's tough guy? Do they have one?
Alex DeBrincat. I don't know.
The cat. Oh, the cat.
Yeah, I don't see anybody.
The cat.
They don't have a lot of penalty minutes.
The
Like, I
cat
looked
had
through
the
their
old.
roster.
The cat had the old T-Rex arms going on that winner, eh?
Oh, on the back check.
Yeah, the
there?
back check. Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, just fucking. Oh, not a chance. But if he was going the other way, and there was a chance for a breakaway, all of a sudden the Jets would have came on.
I get you guys. I bet you probably played with a few of those guys.
Oh yeah.
T-Rex
Okay,
arms.
Give me a guy that would fly down the wing on the offense, but could not figure out how to play D.
Like exhausted on the.
Yeah, like, oh, guys, where he pushes the stick into the other guy to get him up the ice. Kind of, you better go. It's up to you.
I'm trying to think. Hoff was pretty good at it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Hoff, and not to take a shot at him, but he knew when the puck was going north or south.
Yeah.
And none of these guys will be aware. They will not be like, oh my goodness.
No.
They're all very aware of who they are.
Oh no, Hoff. Yeah, Hoff doesn't care one bit.
Yeah.
I played with probably the best at it was Mark Savard. I played with Savvy in Boston. He'd just change instead of skating back, and he knew it too. And he was great too at giving the guy that little extra push.
Yep.
You go back check, and you just give him a little turbo
Yeah,
push.
you better go. I can't do it.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. You brought up Shane Pinto. 31-5-5 when he collects a point when he's in the lineup all time. 3-0 this time when he's come back into the lineup, and he's got 4 points in 6 games, 2 goals. That's pretty good. Like,
Pretty good, yeah.
I know we've discussed Shane Pinto, but I wanted just to, expand on
Yeah.
how good he's been in that lineup. Just he moves everybody in the right spot, right? Like, people don't understand the way teams are built, that slotting in guys in certain spots makes a big difference.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And certain players will have chemistry with other players, and there's no rhyme or reason for why it is.
Yes.
Some guys just think alike. Some guys just have a sense of where the other guy's going to be. And Shane Pinto has the ability to make everybody on his line better because of where he is. We used it, and I hate the comparison because we're comparing him with a Hall of Famer here, Patrice Bergeron, but he's a light Patrice Bergeron, and I think he could continue to grow. He's never going to have the offensive flair that he has, and I don't think you're going to be in line for 12 Selkies or whatever you want, but he's a light version of that. He makes everybody around him better. He covers mistakes well. He's just consistently in the right spot, and he has an ability to place pucks into areas to take pressure off his guys. We never undervalued him on the show. I might have personally, because I just didn't love the I guess the amount of games that he's played, because I was like, we're putting a lot on a guy that's played 99 career games, but he's lived up to everything that we've said, and really no doubt that they are a better team when he's in the lineup.
I think he's probably a lot more fun than Patrice Bergeron too. I played with Bergie in Boston, and we were talking about guys that are leaders and speeches in the dressing room. Mind you, he was pretty young when I played with him, but that guy is all business.
Yeah,
and he's all business. You heard the same thing about him.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like, he's the guy that fun forgot. But listen, he's an awesome player. He's an awesome player and Hall of Famer. But Pinto, you're hearing this a lot with the Sens players right now. They're talking about, we needed this kid back, not because he's a great player, but the spark he's brought back in the dressing room with the attitude. Like, you see him after the game, he's just so appreciative. He just seems, Bob, like he's just loves the game, loves the room, loves being around the guys. Yeah. And he came back when they hit rock bottom. Like the Sens, when he came back, it was rock bottom for the Ottawa Senators, so it was perfect timing for him.
Yeah, he could really do no wrong.
Yeah, like you're coming in and things are going to get better, but it was perfect timing for him to come back, and he's he's delivered. Like he's the last couple of games before this, and he admitted it in his post game. He was, like a little bit of a lull. First couple of games were on adrenaline, like we're talking about. But I thought last night was his best game by far. He could have had 4 or 5 points last night.
Yeah,
he hit a couple guys in the slot for some good plays. The post, hit that seam a couple times on the power play. So, and I really like to play we talk about this all the time. The desperation on the PK. He reaches out, dives, throws the puck forward. Brady comes out of the box, like just little things like that.
Is that play?
No, it's not. No, it's lucky.
Yeah. Don't even ask. Yeah,
I'm like, maybe you guys players are pretty smart. Maybe I'm wrong, but that looked like an absolute accident.
No, immediate no.
It was it was an accident, but I love the extra effort to make sure it gets out.
Yeah.
But no, it's total bullshit.
Okay, the Sens, by the way, finish up the month of January 5-7-2, which is a .429 winning percentage, but better than December. The most wins. Well, they had 6 wins in December, but really the best record I feel like they've done throughout this year. So it does point upwards, and now we'll get to the 20-game mark. 8-10-2 in the 20 games. And it wasn't pretty early on, as we all saw, and we were all like, what's going on? And they lost 5 or 6 straight or whatever it was. So I'm going to start with you. Do they have an identity at the moment?
No, but I think they're really, really starting to create one. I think rock bottom's not when you fire your coach. It just happened to come a week or two after that for me, right? I thought things got worse before Jacques got a hold of it. Now I think you're starting to see some players. Like you look at Josh Norris, who isn't doing much offensively right now. It's not coming easy to him. He's been a lot better, 200 feet game. Oh. Drake Batherson's been a lot better under Jacques. So there's certain players, and then you look at your captain and your best player in Timmy Stützle. They were the 2 latest to come around, right? So there's a big change there. I think they're starting to develop something. I think they're starting to realize, hey, we have to win games a certain way or be competitive in games a certain way. Now, the biggest elephant in the room is the goaltending. They've lost a lot of games on sheer goaltending. So that's a problem. But as a team, I think they've been tighter in the neutral zone. I think they've tracked a lot better. I don't know if you've noticed that. Some of the guys have tracked a lot better. There's always going to be a couple outliers. I think that their defensive zone's still got to get better, but I do think that they're understanding of a team that, like, we have enough skill to try and play outskill teams, but we can't because goaltending and defense aren't there yet. So what they're doing to me more is they're creating way more offense by entering. The glaring turnovers at the blue line have not been eliminated, but they've reduced drastically.
Big time.
Yeah, they're chipping pucks more. They're becoming more of a working pale team, and it's starting to pay off. You're starting to see it. Yeah, that's got to be their identity going forward.
Yeah, they're working. The one thing you said there in the neutral zone, and I'll take Norris for example. He's not doing a lot offensively, but I'm watching his awareness. When he gets caught on the forecheck, he's hustling back to get on top of the puck. And if you see really good teams in the neutral zone, it's because their forwards reload and they get back on top of the puck. Ottawa under DJ before, they'd send 2 guys in, and I call it dive bombing. Guys would go in as dive bombers, and all of a sudden you got 2 guys caught. You only have 3 guys back, and then that 3rd guy would make a poor read in the neutral zone. Then you're giving up an outnumbered rush. Not a lot of outnumbered rushes lately, and that's because guys are reloading. You hear this term all the time by people on coaches and stuff. They reload to the middle of the ice, and they hustle to get back on top of the puck. Norris was doing a really good job of that last night, and I know people are giving it to him right now, but baby steps, like I say. I'll use that term again for one of it, Bob. But, that they want to be a tougher team to play against. That's what they're trying to strive to be. Still giving up too many chances inside their own zone where seams and little plays are happening. That's where they're still giving up plays. Yeah. They got to get tighter in their own zone, which is a work in progress. But like I said, baby steps. Neutral zone is way better. Way better.
Yeah. They're 3-0-2 in 1-goal games the last 10.
Yeah.
Like out of the last 10 games, they've played 5.
And second period, Wally. Second period's been their worst. Last night, good second period.
Yeah. They just seem to finally figured out Jacques Martin.
Yeah.
If you play that way, you'll still find some offense, or at least you'll find some victories.
Yeah. They got a few guys that are going to have to understand. Maybe I don't need to score 95 points. Maybe 85 in playoffs playing the right way is still a problem, or not a problem. It's still attainable.
So,
and some guys are going to have to take a look in the mirror and understand that.
Jacques had the Yzerman chat with Stützle. I heard.
Oh, did he?
Oh, he
Yeah,
did?
he had the Yzerman chat. Yeah, where you bring up what Yzerman did when he was getting 150 points and
Yeah.
he dropped down to 90 or whatever it was, and they started winning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's only one way you can get 150 points.
You get a lot of ice time because you're chasing a lot of games.
You're hoping a lot of pucks bounce by a guy in the neutral zone, so you get a 2-on-1.
It's more fun that way, but
Way more fun.
Yeah. But that was the problem they got into. They
Yeah.
were winning games, but
Yeah.
then when they're not winning games, they're getting blown out.
Yeah.
But that's why Ottawa has so much success against Montreal and Detroit, because Montreal and Detroit, I know we'll get into this later, they think they're as good as Ottawa, so they start cheating.
Well, we can do it now. Like it was brought up. Somebody sent a tweet in, and I apologize, I don't have it with me right now. But somebody sent asking Yorkie, explain why the Sens have had success against Detroit and Montreal of late. This year they're 5-1. Over the last 2 years against these two teams, they're 12-2. And so I'll go back to you. Like, what is it that makes them success? They're all. Are they not all the same team? Trying to rebuild and find their way here?
Yeah,
Before you answer that, can we just take Montreal out of the equation? Like, there's an AHL hockey team. Everybody's 5-1 against them.
they somehow
they
managed to win
suck.
some games, though.
Yeah.
Like,
They
I
do-
don't know how they
yeah.
do it. Like, when I watched them play Ottawa, they're friggin' terrible. But I joked around. Somebody sent me the tweet today, and I did the old Michel Terrier, and I said, it's a lack of respect. Because when they get into a game against Ottawa, they're ahead of them in the standings. They're like, all right, tonight we don't have to pay attention to all these details. We can get a few points against these guys. We'll open it up. All the guys think they're way better than they are, and all of a sudden they start making the mistakes that Ottawa usually makes. Because if Montreal is going to play like a Rangers or a Colorado, they're going to tighten up so much, and they're going to try and play perfect hockey, because otherwise they have no chance of winning. But when they play the Sens, they're like, fuck, like Bob said, it's no fun playing that way. We're going to cheat a little bit.
That's exactly what it is.
And-
Everybody comes in to play the Sens thinking it's point night still.
Exactly, and Detroit's no different. Like Detroit, they think they're better, so they get away from when Detroit plays well. They're all on top of the puck. They're buzzing. They don't make mistakes defensively. But you play Ottawa, it's like, hey, we're going to get some points. And those two teams as well, they're not very physical. Ottawa does really well against teams that don't forecheck hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, it was sent in by at the Hugging Sens who asked the question. I just wanted to point that out. Detroit fans, because Detroit's near a playoff spot or hovering in, right? They're in the wild card race. I think they're in it right now at 8th. So this isn't. I'm not trying to light up here, but is Detroit that much better than Ottawa? They're 16 points ahead, 3 games in hand for Ottawa. Are players, and I'll butt end that with, would Sens players be thinking maybe with 35 games or whatever it is left, maybe
Maybe what?
Maybe what?
maybe the season's a little more longer than it says in the schedule?
No, I think some players have booked flights for the day after the last game. It's not look, you're never going to call it until you see it mathematically as players. That's just the way you're wired, right? You're going to fight, but a lot's got to happen
I
for
know.
the Sens, and a lot's got to happen with other teams. I think they look at Detroit, and to me, like I've been in both places. The culture when I left Ottawa wasn't great. I'm sure it's changed. You have a whole new regime there and a whole new ownership. That stuff takes time. I think it's developed. Detroit was light years ahead in that with the guys that they had in the room. And the guys that they've brought in are some of the guys that we've mentioned on the show need to be brought in. Some 200-foot players.
Like an Andrew Cobb?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is a great point. David Perron, who, not great defensively, but a steady player, a good power play guy. Like, they've brought in pros. They're trying not to rebuild because they want to take advantage of Larkin and now Raymond coming up. And you don't want to
Sider,
rebuild at that point. They're retooling, and they're going about it differently. They've just got more veterans, and they know how to win more games.
I was meaning to do this before the show, but I'm pretty sure my math is right. If you look at Nathan McKinnon, he's played around 780 games in the NHL. It's a lot of games, right?
a lot of games.
He's still under 30. If you take all the Senators' centers and you combine their games played together, all of them, it's not even as much as Nathan McKinnon's played in the league.
Oh, be just over probably 500.
It's not even close.
Maybe 6.
And I keep going back to that. That's they didn't bring in a guy to come into that position like a cop, like a guy that just understands what you need to do to be a complete 200-foot center in the NHL. They're learning on the job. Tim's like,
Okay. So then, do you just bring in somebody to put on your fourth line and move Kastelic to the wing, or do you try to develop him as a center?
oh, it's too
now?
late. It's too late.
It's too late now.
It's too late now. They've already.
Well, I don't mean this season.
Like, unfortunately, people have watched this. Like, they've learned. They're learning on the job, and now they're learning under Jacques some really important lessons. And we're actually starting to see. We just talked about it. We're starting to see some change, and that's what people understand. It takes a while to learn the game, and teams that are smart bring in guys to insulate those players so they don't play as poorly as Ottawa started off the season. And that's why teams like Detroit get off to a better start. Even Montreal, for example, they've got some veterans in key spots in that lineup that help insulate some of those younger players. They've got Claude Giroux, but after that,
It's pretty thin.
It's pretty thin on guys.
Tarasenko?
Well, I'm not taking defensive lessons from Tarasenko.
I was just going to hang on.
and he played.
People are going to be all over you because he's plus 11 and.
Listen, he played an awesome game.
Wingers, by the way, wingers can never read in the plus minus. We just stand at the point and watch them go in.
Who? But they started tracking the plus minus in like 67 or 69. Who is the worst plus minus in NHL history?
The worst in NHL history.
I know who's got the record for in 1 year. Because I played with his son. Brendan Mickelson. Remember Brendan Mickelson? He was a second-round pick. I played with him in Anaheim. His dad was minus 82 1 year for the Islanders. So he was a birdie a game.
Okay, so his overall career or one season?
No, the worst plus minus in NHL history
combined.
All time.
So he must have had a longer career to keep those birdie seasons going up. Wow. So
I'm trying to think of who have been the worst teams.
You guys would have both played against them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm going to tell you his number. I believe it. Yeah, his number's retired by the team.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Shane Doan?
No, Vincent Lecavalier.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
The worst plus minus of all time.
Like it's a minus 140.
Yeah, they had some lean years.
Yeah, there's some tough times.
Before Torts came in, they had some lean years.
They called him the Michael Jordan of hockey at one
by
point.
3 teams. He was getting paid by 3 teams at one point.
Yes.
I was like, this guy knows what he's
He
doing.
was a man after Bob's heart.
Yeah.
He could afford shoes.
I even brought 2 pairs. I still couldn't put myself.
Look at this. We got this the feed on camera.
I'm comfortable.
Somebody's at home going, I can't watch this because of Bobby's feet.
Oh God! At least you don't want to see my feet. Thank God.
That's part of why I wear them. Like after being in skates, I don't like being in boots at all in any form.
You take care of your feet?
No.
Not a pedicure guy?
No. That's part of the reason too is Nikita Kucherov blew that toenail off, and it's still, look at the way that thing's
How do you
going
blow
back.
it
It
off?
hurts so bad.
Did you block a shot?
I tried. I tried not to.
Did you go
flamingo?
No, there was no flamingo, and it was right off a draw.
Oh man.
He stepped right into it, and I never even had a chance to flamingo because I would have. It was a bomb. And you know how when you block a shot, you get back to the bench after the shift, and you're like, it hurts for a couple minutes, and then you just start to feel it get better. Yeah. This was getting worse all game long. I'm like, what? Like, why is it getting so much worse? It was because he blew it off, and we had to screw it in and relieve the pressure. And then we got on the airplane after the.
Did you miss games after?
No.
Oh,
Ever the
really?
warrior, eh?
Man,
No.
I took one right below where your skate and your shin pad meet, and it just blew up. And then the next day I show up and I took the day off, and after that I ended up playing with this stupid thing for about a month. And the trainer insisted there was nothing wrong with me. I kept telling him there's something wrong. I didn't practice for a month. I had to put my foot in an ice bag before every game, otherwise I couldn't play. He goes, let's go get a bone scan. Yeah, it's broken.
Just a solid month of it.
He's like, I'm really sorry, but your leg's broken. I'm like, yeah, thanks. And I'm going to be a free agent this summer too, and I'm going to miss the next month with a broken leg.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Well, I'm missing a toenail, but nobody cares about my story. It's a workplace accident.
Somebody drop a camera on you? Like you what kind of work?
When I worked at Canadian Tire, I was unloading a truck, and they set the pallet of water salt down on my foot and crushed my foot.
Salt got you.
Salt? I should have known. Why didn't I walked right into that. God.
That worked out perfectly.
Come on, Wally. We're comedians now.
Oh, yes. You missed our set at Yuck
Bobby
Yucks.
should have seen
I
it.
heard about this, yeah.
Yeah. Wally had like a soul cleansing moment on the stage. It was basically,
Did you get some things off your chest?
it was an airing of the grievances. Just, oh my God. Oh.
Is it on YouTube? Yeah, I gotta find this.
No,
Yeah.
there's no recordings allowed.
just-
That's a tough one because I still don't know the whole story. So I would have loved this.
Somebody might have taped it. Somebody might have taped it.
I'm hoping they didn't.
He went deep. He got dark for a while too. He got dark. Mendez got dark too. Oh my goodness.
I didn't
They
get
even
dark.
save you for last to come lighten everything up.
I finally came up. I'm like, guys, like, are we supposed to tell some jokes here and stuff?
Yeah,
like,
that's what people are waiting for Yorkie to tell jokes.
It's for the kids, and you
Yeah.
got guys out here just burying people.
just burying guys.
I thought I was very funny.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, for you, you're funny.
Yeah, well, if anybody's buying a ticket to think that I'm doing stand-up, that's on them.
You were nervous before too, eh? You looked a little nervous.
No, I was. So Mendez goes, I'm going to do a set. Like, okay, you fill your boots. I know you can tell some good jokes. Because it's going to be 12 minutes. I'm like, okay, great. And then it goes, it's going to be 20. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
55 minutes later,
Oh, yeah.
Mendez was done talking. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like, can we go? I'm nap time.
Was he trying to solve world problems? Like, what was he doing?
Five of my buddies were there, and they're texting me. They're texting me pictures of the cane coming out to like take the guy off the stage.
That's so good. Oh, that's so good.
Anyway, we'll do a show. We'll have you come up.
Oh, okay, yeah. I could tell a few stories.
See?
Good. I could tell a few.
Bob's like, another flight? Am I getting the middle seat again?
Yeah. I'm not. No more flights up, Unless it's a
You
charter.
look
If
so-
I'm coming up, it's a charter. I
Oh,
promise.
wow.
You look
I'm-
so grumpy in that picture
I
too.
was pissed, man. I was already late. I was sweating. I got in. Like, plane can't get smaller. So
Oh,
it was a tough
God.
go.
When's the last time that you would have just flown commercial?
In the last year, quite a bit, actually. Yeah.
Oh, you went out west. You went to Arkells and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, and then we did Austin. And you know what? We fly is Southwest. Because it's a big hub out of Nashville. Huge.
Right.
So if you spend the extra whatever it is and get like A1 through 15, I'm like, you got to get right there and you go straight for that exit row where there's only 2 seats and it's the only way I'll do it.
So I just found. So my son was flying Southwest for a couple of hockey tournaments, but I'm not there. So they just go, okay, everybody general boarding, and you just get on and pick
Yeah.
a seat.
Yeah.
So those poor people that
Mayhem.
have got to sit between 40 hockey guys.
That's tough.
That's
tough.
That's a tough. You spend the extra money and
But
upgrade that.
I was like, when I saw that I was gonna get you have to spend the extra $50, but I thought I was gonna be Radek Bonk on the flight.
That's just
You know what? And then the girl that sat next to me sat down, and I looked over and I was like, the middle seat might have been the play because I have nowhere to go here,
Yeah.
right?
You're against
the middle
yeah,
seat,
it's curved in.
You just get down and then you sit and you just assert some dominance.
Yeah.
You get both armrests.
Take the armrest.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna readjust my thinking on this.
Because
Middle
the
seat.
window, while it's nice, at the bottom there's no room. There's no leg because
No, you're
it
hammered.
circles in or curves in.
And then the top too. Like
Right.
all they had to do to take a nap was this. Like,
especially if you're a little claustrophobic. That when you're smunched up against the window, it's not a good feeling.
Yeah. I listen. I'm okay with it. I managed to figure it out.
The train, though, the train's the way to go, man. Wally and I were like spread wide open, legs out.
No, we weren't. No, that never happened.
tell me more.
Nobody think that that's a good visual. Ah.
Oh, I was good. You guys were a lot happier than I was
That
yesterday.
was good. It was good.
Well, we got to hang out together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's like-
wasn't shooting the shit with anybody.
It's like stepbrothers. But I looked over. So you just went to a Madonna concert, which is okay. That's no big deal. I look over. Aren't you watching like Lady Gaga documentary?
I love Lady Gaga. Way better than Madonna. At least she performs.
Why did I?
Like,
even
at least
go?
the music's
This is
not
in
being
the
pumped
notes.
in. Like, she's playing the piano. She's talented.
Yet you haven't watched the Alex Degg doc.
I'll get to that. Well, I
I
know
gotta
what he's
get on
going to
that
say.
too.
Like, it's not like I'm going to be surprised.
It's
how
very
the-
good.
How the story goes.
It's very good.
yeah, he knows them.
I got to see like the after hours version.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are watching the PG version.
Well, it's funny. He brought when he came on, we knew that maybe not to ask about extracurricular activities or off ice people he may have dated, like
Yeah.
certain Baywatch actresses. It was brought up in the doc.
of course they went there.
Yeah.
Nobody told me this before the show. I would have asked 100%. No, I don't care what we're allowed to ask.
I think he
Tell
had,
me something, bud.
He had ties to Pamela Anderson.
What?
You didn't know that?
Nope.
Yeah. So he would in the off season live in L.A.
Yeah, I knew
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And so it came out that he was dating Pam Anderson.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had some
And at the
questions
time
that
was
just- yeah.
the biggest probably female star on the planet.
She was, yeah. No, Daggy's a beauty.
He was having the year that he took off hockey. I remember I told you guys.
Yeah.
I watched him play a lot of Monday night hockey, just having a good time in beer league.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was the guy who was first overall pick. I was like, ooh.
His best line, he came, I don't know if we told this one on the pod when we had him on. He came to we had the outdoor game at Parliament Hill, and he was flying. Like, he was the best player on the ice. He was better than Fish, and who had just played.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Fish had just retired, and Nealer was being Nealer, trying really hard.
Yeah.
Daggy was still the best guy on the ice. And I go, holy shit, Daggy. I go, you look great. He goes, that's what happens when you don't go in the corners during your career. I never got hurt. I still feel great.
I can only picture Nealer before that game doing an active warm-up outside the dressing room. While you guys are just shooting the shit, he's out there doing the dynamic warm-up.
We had a charity game last year. We were playing out in Winchester. A bunch of the old Leafs were playing. Todd Gill was playing. Giller's a great guy. He comes up to me. He's like, Eric, he goes, why is Nealer trying so hard? Does he know this is just supposed to be a fun game? I'm like, that's Nealer.
He can't dial it back.
He can't.
He can't.
Got one gear.
One gear.
Like he just does skates, right, with Brommer and guys and what.
Oh, yeah.
He can't. It's the same Nealer.
I love him, though. He is who he is, and he wears it.
Man, do you know the clock that sits in the locker room? It says 42 minutes, and
Yeah.
then when you go on the ice, it's 16:30, and now I think it's 16. So
For warm-up, 16.
it's 16. So 42 starts, and that's where you kind of guys start basing how they get dressed off of that. And most guys aren't even in the room until 30, give or take.
Yeah.
Nealer was sitting. He like my first year there, and it was my first couple of games. I'm like, is this guy nuts? Like, what's wrong with him? 27 minutes on the clock, a full 10 minutes, full gear, helmet, strapped, buckled, stick in hand, sitting like this. I'm just kind of staring off in space. I'm like, is he gonna be okay? I'm like, it's got to be exhausting 82 times a year. pal.
82 games. Oh, my God.
Well, Nealer was in the hallway, dressed, waiting for warm-up. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like 10 minutes before.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was far ahead of everybody else, but I was terrified of him.
He was just anxious.
It's a great point because there's so much involved in getting yourself ready to play 82 games. Like, having to do all that stuff and be on cue for every single time. Like, man, I couldn't even imagine like being that superstitious.
So I've always wanted to save this, but I want to know how guys find their spot in the warm-up line to take to the ice.
It's kind of weird. There's only a few guys that care where they go. You're either 1, 2, or 3, or the last 3.
Yeah.
And the rest is guys that just fall in on game 1, 2, and 3, and they're like, okay, now I'm just always behind this guy. And a lot of guys just don't care, so it doesn't matter.
But they always got to be in the same spot, though.
But it always works itself out, and it's just because we're all superstitious in some way, and it just naturally happens. Like, for me, I wanted to be one of the closest guys to the ice, and then Andy, Smitty, and I'd follow in line behind Smitty. And
So you were second on the ice.
I was usually second on the ice. Yeah, Smitty would come up, whack all the pucks out,
Okay.
right where we're all going.
So Drake does that now. Batherson's the guy now. Do you have to do you have to fight for that spot? Is there other guys that want to do it? Like Nealer would be a puck guy too, if I'm not mistaken. I think Nealer wanted to come out.
I think
first.
he was. Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, he wasn't when I was. I don't think so. Towards his end, I guess. I don't know where he was in the rotation there, but yeah, Smitty was just not really. It just there was only a few guys that want to do it and you just kind of work it out by games played generally, and a lot of guys don't care. They really don't. Yeah.
Yorkie, did you either one of you have handshakes with anybody?
I wanted to get off the ice as quick as possible for warm up because I never felt like I was ready to play. So I'd get on for warm up, but I always feel like shit, and I'd skate around it. So I'd basically put my gear on in a way where I could get it off as fast as possible after warm up. Because I take all my gear off after warm up, and I go take a cold shower.
You start over.
And I'd start over just to wake the hell up. Because then
then
I'd pop a few sooties, get going with a couple sooties.
I took the Sooties at 42 minutes.
And then I'd go out to
I'd ride the Lightning every night.
Then I'd go out to
Didn't care.
go out to the hallway and do some jumps to get my feet going.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy. I don't know how I got into this stupid routine. Like, it was exhausting.
Well, that's what I'm getting. Like Matt Duchesne, I think, right? He had the 2 water bottles,
Yeah.
and then it was to the second for the entire warm up.
I once felt so shitty before a game in the playoffs, and I was all nervous that I wasn't going to play well. I took all my gear off, and I jumped in the cold tub. I went in the cold tub, and then halfway through that first period, I popped a rib So I probably was so cold.
Oh man, see, I was the exact opposite. It's like the driving range thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm striping it, tough round. Like if I feel good at warm ups, I come off and that's when I
Oh,
start to
shit.
feel like a fucking cat in a room full of rocking chairs. I'm like, I don't know
Really?
what to do. I'm like, I want to feel terrible in warm ups because it can only go up.
Yeah, people would be surprised how guys can feel on a different day-to-day basis. Sometimes your legs just feel slow, sometimes they feel great. More times than not, they don't feel great.
More times, yeah. I would say 7 out of 10. You know,
7 out of 10,
yeah.
you feel like shit.
Yeah.
And you're like figuring out a way to get yourself going.
Oh yeah.
Like I'd go in and then rub all kinds of heat on my legs. Like I'd take the gear
To
off.
the point where you want it to burn. Like,
Oh yeah, just I gotta wake the legs up. So I'd get in there and rub all this heat on it. Then you get a little too high. You're like, shit, that's too high. All of a sudden,
You're exhausting to listen to. I can't imagine going through
It was
that.
exhausting. That's why I finally had to retire. I was exhausted.
It was nothing to do about your knees.
And maybe that too. Yeah, maybe that too.
You brought up the clock in the room. When Guy came in, he added 4 clocks,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I was like, "Can you not just leave the one at the like?"
I
Everybody can see them.
Everybody could see it. Yeah, no, he
And they weren't all in the same time. They'd be off by like 30 seconds.
I had a nice chat with him on Sunday actually, catching up
Yeah?
this week. It was nice to catch up with him, but he had a lot of man. Nobody was more superstitious and had more day-to-day
yes.
little things than him.
Really,
I always used to joke because he's so small, eh? Do you remember the riser that he put in the room in front of the board so that he could reach the top?
Oh yeah.
So I don't know who. I'll never forget who it was, but somebody put a step stool in front of it on top of the riser one time, and Geek came in and like he made a point not to bring it up, but that riser was gone that step stool was gone so fast, and I still think it was Smitty.
Do you guys have like a little name for him for being short, like Lord Farquhar or something like that?
No, I don't remember any of them. There's a couple un-PC ones, that guys, yeah. But every coach gets a few of those.
I forgot. Yeah, God, I forgot how short he was.
Way off topic today. It's a good thing we have an extra time. We have extra time to get to. Brady Tkachuk going to the All-Star game as Ottawa's representative. I meant to get to this before. He's now got 22 goals in the year, I believe it is. But this is the fastest he's ever gotten to 20 goals in his career, 45 games. Last year was 50, then 54 before that, 69 and 65. Yet we still think, or there's this feeling that he's not playing
Really?
the
way he should be.
By who?
You got me on that one. What do you?
There's just like Josh Norris. People they think Josh Norris isn't playing great.
Well,
There was remember when there was all the team was struggling. Everybody wasn't playing great, but it seemed that Brady was taking a bit of heat, and yet he's the guy that leads this team in goals.
I think because you're the captain and the team's not doing well, right away they're going to look to the captain and say, "Well, team's not doing well, captain." I don't see any difference. I actually think Brady's playing better defensively now, learning how to be better in the neutral zone. 22 goals, and
He's not flying the zone like he used to either.
yeah, like he was cheating a lot.
Yes,
a lot.
But
that
wait
was
a
their
sec,
system.
That's DJ's system.
That was your system, right,
Yeah.
Bob? Like as soon as you get control, or you think you're going to get control, that far side winger's gone.
Yeah.
He's gone, and you're hoping you get it, and Brady get a lot of chances that way. But yeah, and that's the thing. Like you mentioned, Josh Norris, he put up 35 goals, so now everybody thinks he's going to get 35 goals all the time. It's it's really tough to get 35 goals in NHL, especially when Ottawa's got a lot of the same players who all want to get lots of goals. Like you got Tarasenko, you got Batherson, you got Brady, you got Giroux, you got Stützle. Like only a certain amount of guys can get 35 goals. Like it doesn't work that way. So I don't know. I don't know you, Bob. Brady's being Brady.
Yeah, I don't get the. I don't want to say slander or use a word that's too much, but I don't get the criticism. I think the only criticism you should take sometimes is where we spoke about picking your spots a little better, taking yourself off the ice for 5 minutes. I think he's too important. I think also he hasn't taken games over, so maybe that he hasn't taken games over like he has in the past, and maybe that's part of it. But he's finding what game was it? 2 games ago, his fingerprints were all over the game in so many different ways.
Nashville?
It was Nashville. Yeah, he sparks the comeback, but
Yep.
with the play to Batherson.
Yeah, he sets up the first goal.
Yeah,
right?
scores
Yep.
another. Right? Did he score?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He scores off of a nothing play. So he creates
face
something.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's not many guys that are going to be able to turn, fire that puck, hold off a guy while doing it. I actually think he's gotten better. I think he was terrible for about a week and a half under Jocks, maybe even 2.
Well, funny you say that. Like,
but he's grown.
20 games under Jacques, 8 goals, 12 assists, 20 points. Point per game player under a team that was 3-7 in the first 10 games under Jacques.
Yeah.
And he's the leading scorer through the coaching change.
Yeah, he's going to find a way to put points up. I guess for me, when I'm looking at arguably your most important player, but the guy that is your emotional leader, the guy that is your goal scoring leader too. Like, there's not many guys in the league that are both.
So what's a bigger void in the lineup, Tim Stützle or Brady Tkachuk for you?
Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Just because he's the only guy in the team that plays that way. They don't have anybody else that does that. Like,
Plus the emotion.
The emotion. He puts some fear into the other team's D when he's on the ice. Like, if I'm on the ice and I'm playing against Brady Tkachuk, I know I got to do things a little quicker when I go back for pucks, because I know if he gets me the hit, it's going to hurt.
You can notice the difference when guys carry the puck. When Brady's does not have the puck through the neutral ice, the amount that D are pushed back by him.
Yeah.
And it creates all that underneath space. Yeah. And Tim has an idea. He has a different way of doing it. He creates space with his edges and his hands.
Speed.
Speed. Excuse me. All of it. Brady's got one way to clear space, and he does it as well as anybody.
I'm coming right through you.
Yeah. Get your head up, because I'm coming. So I think he's their most important player, and I think under Jock he had 2 weeks where he wasn't great. That's all I'll say. Yeah. And then after that, he's been very, very good.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a better guy that understands that little area in front of a goaltender, like Tkachuk understands where to be. If you watch him, and a lot of times Sens defensemen won't do a good job of just getting the puck to the front of the net, because he's always there. He's always right on top of the crease, and you can't move him. Like, whatever it was, he's 220, he's 6'4". There's not many guys in the league that have 22 goals and are that size and play that way.
The last guy that I remember that I played with was Corey Perry, that was that good around the net. Yeah, they did it differently. Corey was, we call him the Worm, right? That's his nickname. So he did it very differently, but just tons of flashbacks when I see them within that 5-foot circle.
But will you be, like, if Perry on the forecheck, though, he wouldn't come in and really hit you that hard, though. Like, he'd more like kind of slink on you and get a stick in there, and like crafty, right?
Crafty, very crafty.
Brady's just going to come and he's going to hit you, he's going to hurt you.
So you're power play guy, and I know Yorkie, you're a D, so not quite the same. Just the way he seems to be able to control that goal line, because it's either sweeping in the net or it's sweeping across the crease. He just seems really. I know the power player struggled, but can you explain to me how difficult maybe he is to defend there?
Yeah, well, there's not many guys that are that size, so that you always have to remember that he can just put his head down and bull rush through you. Yeah, but he's got a lot of poise. He's got some really good hands and tight. He's got that little move that he does to get around you. So he can beat you a number of ways. And he works on him. You can see him at the end of every warm-up. He works on him. He used to. I don't know if he still does.
He does. Yeah.
Every warm-up, at the end of every practice. Like, he's very, very dedicated to that craft, and he's excelled at it. But there's really the only thing I don't like that he does at times is turns his back to go in, and that's just a turnover if it doesn't work, right? Because it goes right to the other D and it's gone. And, like, you can see Giroux sometimes after he does it. He's like, I'm not going back down there to him. I'm not making that pass again. And I've watched it on power plays for years with other guys, but he's just got a myriad of ways to beat you in that spot. And on top of that, he's got good vision, so he knows that bumper is there. He knows the back door is there. I mean, I don't know what you say about him in that spot. And his puck retrieval skills are about as good as anyone. He's never going to beat you to the race. In a race, but he knows where that puck's going, and he finds a way to get there, and he arrives big.
You hear this term all the time in hockey. He has strong stick. This guy's good stick, strong stick. When he's down low in the offensive zone, and he's heavy on his stick, like it's hard to get the puck off him. That's why he's able to extend a lot of cycles. And he gets shit on a lot for not being a great skater. He came out of the box last night and had to come back, and I know Detroit. I don't know what Detroit defenseman that was.
Cider there, he stepped on the banana peel trying to get back.
But Cider got up, and Cider's a pretty good skater. But Brady's still, like, he's got, like, deceiving pretty good speed when needed, because he was able to still get some separation there. And for a big guy that's not known as a good skater, that was, it makes you think twice. Yeah, maybe not pretty, but he gets there, right?
A great shot too.
That's when Pinto made that pass to him.
Call it what you want.
But
It got there, I guess.
but to answer your original question, he's been good.
Okay. Because like and you said it, like he struggled a bit under Jacques. Like there was some heat on Brady Tkachuk, but yet he's the one thing about NHL players, you last because you're consistent.
He's consistent.
Yeah,
he called the fans out too. So like,
sort of
when you do that, it's coming.
It's
But
coming. It's
did he?
coming.
He didn't. He just called it bullshit. I
But
side
like
with the
you guys
player.
are on that side of the camera all the time, right? We would always ask you these questions, and we're looking for sound bites. And I know he wants to get a point across, but I still think it got taken out of context what he wanted to say, and it just maybe it wasn't worded right. But I just think he's trying to defend DJ, his coach, and he felt like everybody was just piling on, and he just wanted it to stop.
Yeah.
But people did take it as a personal shot at them.
Oh, they did. Well, I mean, you and I get it because we're in the room and you've heard thousands of interviews and you've been part of that world and on the side of the camera. You've been on both sides of the camera.
Yeah.
I haven't. I've only been on the one. Well,
welcome.
now I'm on the side
Welcome
of
to
the
Coming It
microphone.
Up. It's brought to you with Bobby Ryan
I
and
get
Jason
2 days
York.
a year. That's it. But it's just heat of the moment. But you can't win on Twitter. So
No.
yeah,
But
I'm sure Brady doesn't give a fuck. Like, pardon my
You know what?
language,
I think it does bother him.
well,
I think it
Twitter,
bothered him
yeah.
that people felt like he turned on fans because I just
Yeah.
don't.
I don't
just don't think that that's Brady Tkachuk whatsoever.
No, he's very, very.
I just think
invested and-
right. You guys are being told every day, "Why do you suck?" Right? Every day, what happened today? What's wrong with today? Why'd you lose tonight? And so it gets exhausting, and I get it.
Well, he was being. They were getting the. They were hearing it was more DJ sucks. Your coach sucks.
Yes,
and
but
that,
it's personal.
It's personal because he made it no secret. He liked him a
He
lot,
loved-
right?
yeah, he liked DJ a lot.
They loved him. They loved him. Same with Claude. Same with Timmy. And that's why you saw that lull when you had the coaching change. Like it was. That's why Brady's game kind of went a little bit because you wear that. You're the captain. You love the coach. Coach is gone. He's fired. You take that on with you, and you kind of. There was a hangover there for sure.
Sure, but it's also your family. Like
It's your family. Yeah.
you don't want someone to,
Yeah.
even if you disagree with like your brothers and you argue, you're like,
Yeah.
wait a sec,
Yeah.
you can't take a shot at my family. I'm going to protect them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what that. I felt like that's what that was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And Brady's an emotional player, and he's the reason why, like, he endures himself to the fans, and he's a kind of a different kind of throwback player because he's plays with emotion.
See, I thought that was hilarious. That like the exact reason you love him is the exact reason people are pissed at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want him one way, but when he comes and switches
Yeah,
it,
Yes.
yeah.
and
Yes.
isn't every fan fickle? Not just I'm not saying Ottawa Senators fans.
Oh, all
all
of
of them.
Yeah.
All
Every
of them.
fan's fickle.
Yep.
Because it's
Yep.
right. It's not like you're buying a car. You're investing money just in pure emotion,
Yeah.
right? Like you don't get anything at the end of the day. You leave the rink
Yep.
after a win or a loss, and that's how you feel. So I get the emotion part. I just think sometimes we get too emotional.
Well, when the car's not working and it keeps stalling,
You
you're
want a
not
new
very-
car.
You want a new
You
car.
better get me a new car. And then you start to demand one.
And the Sens car wasn't working well for a long
You've been
time.
rebuilding that car for 6 years.
Oh boy, it's been a long rebuild.
It hasn't.
Jesus
If
Christ.
you're just tuning in, we're live at the NHL All-Star Game. And I just want to say thank you to all our sponsors, which is BEI, of course, Bonisher Excavating Inc., DoorDash, Douglas Mattress, our good friend Douglas,
Is Douglas around, by the way?
Is he on the show today?
Charm
wait to
Diamond
meet this
Centers, Wendy's. Go to Wendy's,
hilarious.
dailyfaceoff.com and go to Wendy's Daily Faceoff Survivor Pool. I'm missing somebody. I don't know. I'll figure it out as we get to the end of the show.
Battle Axe throwing.
Battle Axe.
Battle
Look at
Axe,
that.
battlegrounds.com.
Your
Yes.
old battle axe.
You were,
wall.
I love that he looked at us like we were going to remember, but somehow we pulled it off.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that now because I was like, there is one and I can't remember what it is.
Oh, boy.
I'm doing well today with like no script,
I
no
told you-
computer.
I told you it was
There's
gonna
no
be fine.
graphics in the show that I'm used to showing you guys, so
We
you
should-
guys can know.
You should-
Tell our
see-
fans he's down
You
5.
should. Listen, you
I
should-
sleep all night.
He's been eating fingernails.
Listen, Bob. Last night you had a friend in town. Wally and I, we went out. We had a great dinner last night. And when I'm in town, I like to go have a cocktail. And I'm like, Wally,
I know it's
it's
gone.
9:30 at night. We're walking right by the Ritz Carlton.
I'm just gonna go, and then you guys.
I'm
tell
like,
the
they
story.
make one of the best old fashions. Let's go have it. No, I got no notes prepared for tomorrow. No graphics. Oh, this show's gonna be awful. I'm like, it's a podcast. We're gonna tell stories. It'll
Yeah.
be fine. Don't worry.
I'm a professional.
If it makes you feel any better, I slept great.
So did I.
So good. Yeah.
You were exhausted from mini sticks.
Yeah.
Are you
I
better
had a
now? Are
fierce
you okay
battle.
now? Is it okay? Is it all good?
Uh,
You okay?
No, it's hard on me. I like to be in control.
I know it's
And,
tough, eh?
Yeah, and I don't have control.
Well, it's almost done.
Okay, so
Are we on tomorrow?
10 a.m.
Okay, I'll be here.
Yeah, I don't know how many. I won't know how many Seagram VOs I will have after this one.
Oh, boys.
Do we need to talk about Dominic Kubalik, or do we just let that go?
Ugh.
He was better last night.
Okay, he played 10:53. Kastelik played 9:07. Kelly played 10:06 as the fourth line.
Yeah.
One, I don't like. And by the way, I don't like Ridley Gregg as a winger. He needs to play at center.
I
But
agree with that.
We can
Yeah.
get to that tomorrow if you will.
I didn't mind his game. They were out of his best line, by the way.
It could be no, and I'm not saying he's bad. I just think that's not where he excels. He was very, very good when
Oh.
Pinto wasn't in the lineup, and Norris. I think Norris was out. Sorry,
So who we trading?
everybody.
Well, you got to trade somebody if you want to put him at center.
Well, I don't know that Mark Kastelik is warm and fuzzy with the coaching staff. I just feel like he may not be.
I kind of feel like that too, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I
he
don't know
scores-
why, but
I know
yeah.
because I like him. He's got great size.
Yeah.
He's perfect for that spot.
Yeah.
And I just think right now, perhaps he had too many bad habits, and we keep going back to the Alfie, giving him grief for not
Yeah.
back checking. But
You-
there might be some bad habits in his game they just want to fix.
Do you know what? I bet you part of the reason he had a better game last night was bring up my buddy Rorschach. A lot of
Rest in
times,
peace.
well, a lot of times, like if you're not an established player yet in the league
Yeah.
and they're giving your looks to somebody else, you kind of playing uptight. You're playing nervous. You're looking over your shoulder. You're like, Jesus, Rorschach is going to take my job.
Yeah.
And now the team, I know it's more because of cap reasons. The Rourke dog has gone down to the minors.
Yeah.
You kind of relax a little bit. Like it's really tough to play this game when you're uptight.
It is.
It's really tough because you're afraid to make a mistake
Yeah.
and you play worse.
Especially
So-
if you're a fourth line guy.
Yeah, because you have no margin for error.
Yeah.
If you fuck up, you're going to hear about it. Like you don't have any mulligans. So I thought he was good last night. I thought Kubalik did a lot of good things defensively. I know it's not what he's supposed to do, but he did well. And Parker Kelly again had a good game.
Yes. Someone,
agree.
I just want to point out, the chat's been very good. I just can't get to it. Is Senator, you want Ridley on the fourth line instead of Pinto on the wing, Wally dipping into the Seagrams. That's not my point. Not my point. My point is he's just better at center, which I think at some point, maybe, and we'll save this for tomorrow, we may have to go to Josh. Do you start looking at Josh Norris?
On the wing, you mean?
On
Or
another team.
on the trade block. Okay.
Oh,
I
Wally.
don't think that anybody's safe. I think that aside from the obvious.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think if somebody came and made an offer that blew them away for Josh Norris, I think they would entertain it, knowing that they have Ridley Gregg and Shane Pinto.
Yeah.
But
And I mean that to make your
Center's
team
just-
better. If
yeah.
you're getting a right shot, top 2D,
Yes.
like it has to be an exceptional deal. I want to
centers
make
just
that
don't
clear.
grow on, centers, good centers
35
just don't
goal
grow.
scorer.
Yeah, they don't grow on trees. But you have to assume at some point, and the best teams do this. If you're looking at your centers being Stützle, Norris, Pinto, Gregg, that's a hell of a middle of the ice, and you build from there. But Gregg's going to want more minutes than the fourth line center position, and he's already earned that.
So can you move? And someone brought it up here. I switched Norris with Gregg, Sebastian Belanger. Could you put Norris on the wing and move Ridley Gregg to a second line center spot? Do you have to move Shane Pinto up? Like, does that not throw everything out of whack?
Throws everything out of the whack
Yeah.
for me. And I
Yeah.
don't. I do because Yorkie's said this plenty of times that eventually Norris is going to be a winger if they want to keep him.
Yeah.
Which I would love to see an extended
Yeah.
time period
Me
of him
too.
playing on the wing.
Me too.
Put him there for the rest of the year.
Who's the second line center then?
For me, it's Pinto. Like not right now, like he's showing signs. I just want, because your second line center is going to play between 16 and 18 minutes. I want 16 to 18 minutes of a very smart 200-foot player that's going to help me offensively and
Yeah.
defensively. And I want on my third line a centerman that is really tough to play against, that's going to play like a cocksucker. Can I say that, by the way? Is
No,
this like Bull
I don't
Durham?
think so. No.
And that's what I
Chat's about
want.
to blow up. There we go. Yeah.
You can't say that like Bull Durham, but that's what I want. Like,
This is why we need a script.
I feel like this couch came from the residence. My back's just tight. I'm not gonna lie.
But if you
gotta
look,
walk over to podcast at the nice hotel.
I know I can feel the springs in here. But if you generally look at really good teams that win in the playoffs, they have a third line that is very tough to play against.
Sure, the Merlot line in Boston.
The Merlot line,
Chris
and
Kelly.
I always go back to Tampa's third line when they were really good. They had Yanni Gord, they had Coleman,
It's a great
and
third line.
Gaudreau. But they're to me, Ridley Gregg plays that style.
Yes.
So I think he's a prototypical third line center. I think Timmy's your first, and I think Pinto's your second, and that's why I keep saying, let's see how Josh Norris plays on the wing, because he's a guy that wants the puck, comes in, knows how to come in and find time and space, and you give it to him, and he's going to score. Versus being in the middle, like I don't find he distributes the puck that well in the middle of the ice. I want to see him as a winger, and I think that's where he'll have his most success. Because really, he's a 35 goal scorer.
Yeah.
A lot of that came off the power play.
Yeah.
A lot of it came off the power play, shooting the puck. And if they want to keep him, I just think that's where he's eventually going to have to go.
I will say two things. I would like to see an extended time frame of Josh on the wing with Pinto in your second line position.
Yeah.
And you have time to do this now. 35 games left.
Why
Do
not?
it.
Do
and
it.
I would love to see Joseph and Pinto play together for 35 games.
Oh, I like Joseph.
Yeah, I do too. He's a perfect, like that's the start. That's 2/3 of a very, very good line.
People are trying to trade me.
I'm saying Pinto. I meant Greg. And Greg and Joseph on the third line.
Yes,
I would-
yeah,
I'm
sorry,
sorry,
yeah.
So we were talking Pinto, but
Yeah.
I'm talking
Yeah.
move Josh to the wing, Pinto to the center spot, let those two build,
Yeah.
and then let Joseph and Ridley Gregg in the center slot really
Yeah,
build something.
Yeah. Like, no, I think that would be interesting to see. But I look at guys who Norris has chemistry with. I think he's got really good chemistry with Batherson. Like, I could see those two guys both on the wings and a nice responsible center in
Yeah.
the middle of the ice, like a Pinto. Like, put him in the middle of the ice. He's responsible. He gets it. And then you got Giroux. You've got Tkachuk. And you've got Stützle on that other line, and that kind of balances things out. And then who knows what's going to happen with Tarasenko? I still think he's going to be moved. I do, because I think I saw the report with Ottawa's prospects. I think Ottawa's ranked according to I forget who was
The
doing
Athletic.
31.
31 in prospects.
Yeah.
So they need a restocking of the cupboards. And
Well, there's no name me a guy that's in Belleville that's a top 6 legit NHL player. Now the argument is though they're already in Ottawa,
They're young. Ottawa's young.
They're
so-
young.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, just look down the middle.
the
of
only
the ice.
guy I'm excited about down there is Clevin. That's the only guy.
Crookshank for me. I
But-
think he's going to be a supply. But he's not a top 6. But
Right. So
Yeah, I like
they're
him too.
they don't just seem to have a top 6 guy, so they've got to start to generate this.
That's because they've been giving away first rounders like they're candy.
It's
it's tough when you just
There
got
you
to
go.
forfeit one too.
There you go. Need him.
Sorry about the no trade clause, Davinov. We're gonna get the NHL back.
Jesus Christ. Oh,
yeah, that was a tough trade.
trade.
Good news is they're sitting in a great spot. So it's not all doom and gloom.
There is no. So they, I mean, they do have 2 first rounders. Should be this year, right? I know if it's lottery protected, right? But Boston's not going to be a lottery pick, so
No.
they'll have.
Yeah. They're good. So to recap what they're getting from Detroit, Detroit has the either give them Boston's pick or their pick.
Correct.
That's how it's working, right?
Yeah, and if it was top 10 protected from Boston, they'd have to do it next year.
Yes.
So
Well, that's not happening.
it should be they should have 2 first rounders this year.
Yeah.
And it'll be, I would assume, just be Boston's pick because it's going to be,
The later of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
unless I'm completely wrong and I've read it
Well,
wrong.
that's good. They're gonna have 2 first rounders this year.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good start. And retooling.
Plus the one they're gonna get for Koopa League.
Kubalik. Oh,
Bobby.
should we recap that trade too?
No.
No.
No, we're just
Oh
going to,
my
I'm just
God.
going to, I'm moving on.
Well,
to
the good news is, like, imagine if they would have re-signed the cat.
Ooh.
The
yeah.
money they would have had to give to re-sign him.
Okay, do we think they were close to ever
No,
re-signing him?
but I just remember, and I was adamant in this from day one that they could not re-sign him because they have too much.
Yeah,
of the
people were
same-
so mad at you.
They're so mad at me. Did you watch the game winner last night? He's still mad. at me.
Alligator arms, is that what you call them? T-Rex arms?
T-Rex arms.
Yeah. But, like, I think Pierre floated it that they were going to try and re-sign him, but I don't believe it was ever close from either side. I think even Alex admitted, like, I'll wait to see. I don't think that he was ever going to entertain it.
I don't think so too. But they had to do damage control media-wise to say we're going to really work on it. Like it was. They gave up a lot and it wasn't a good trade. It wasn't a fit. And it was supposed to be a Band-Aid because they thought. And remember when it was the playoff year? They just got progressively.
The rebuild is over.
Yeah.
My God.
So they did what they had to do to save it in the media, and then it all came crashing down as soon as we got rid of them.
Okay, last topic is 35 games left in the season, 21 road games, 14 home games.
Ooh.
I know I brought up about the playoff run, but aside from that, they're going to return. They're going to play 35 games in 66 days, which is a grind.
Yeah.
But do they come back? Like, is there a little rejuvenated Ottawa Senator team as they come back on the 10th to play?
Well, I think, yes. I think they're feeling good about the way they end it. So, yeah, you go into the break a little more, I guess spirited would be the word.
Yeah.
And a little more excited about coming back. But they know what they're coming back to. They know they're not making the playoffs. These guys know, right?
Yeah.
The room knows. It's just.
Yeah.
But I think they made some strides that will serve them well going down the stretch. Yes. Meaningful games.
Meaningful. Oh, God.
Good
night, everybody.
We're
We're the shows. Thanks for watching.
Mic drop.
Oh, you walked into that.
Oh, meaningful games. There'll be no meaningful games. I just think they're learning what it takes. What you have to do, little things, tracking, being more responsible, better decisions. I think the biggest thing, and I'll go back to this, everybody says this team needs to learn structure. This team needed to learn how to make better decisions at critical times in the game and at critical areas of the game because they weren't making the right decisions. And I think the one thing Jacques trying to teach this group is to make better decisions. Yeah. And I think that's a work in progress. I think we'll continue to see better decisions with the puck because his video sessions, they always contain teaching parts like this. What were you thinking here? Do this instead of that. Like trying to kind of retrain guys on when to make your plays, when not to make your plays. Puck management. I think it's going to be a work in progress. And they're going to have to use what happens for the rest of this year to help them when they start next year. Like create a culture of playing the right way. And they're starting to figure it out. And it's going to help them in the future. And I think we'll see what happens at the trade deadline. And then, hopefully these lessons correct a lot of the things that people have driven fans nuts for a long time. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where they're at. And, they're not making the playoffs, but.
You guys are so. Why can't you just go maybe? I understand they're a long way out.
Listen,
they're not a long.
But what
way
if
out.
they happen to end up like Edmonton, which has 3
Okay,
MVPs on their roster?
Let's do the math.
2 of the best players in the world.
Okay, let's do the math. Where are they at right now, point wise?
And a goalie.
16 points out.
Okay, have you done the math of what the record has to be?
It doesn't really there's loser points, so the record doesn't really. And I don't even know if 95 points is going to make it.
Let's just call it 95.
Okay.
So what do they have to do to get to 95 points?
I don't have my abacus on me.
Yeah, so they're probably going to have to play close to our stats guys are looking it up right now.
That's 35 games and need 45 points.
Yeah. So do the math. And you just said their schedule, all the games on the road.
I think they got a West Coast trip.
Yeah, it's not.
They haven't been out to California yet, have they?
That's what I don't think so.
And then you're gonna run into teams
they did Vegas.
You're gonna run into teams that are playing really desperate because they're gonna need the points. So it's. Listen,
the game gets tighter.
I predict they're going to pop right over top of Montreal and Buffalo by the end of this.
I'll tell you what.
That puts them.
Yeah.
So what they're going to do then is ruin their playoff spot.
Their lottery spot.
Yeah.
They're going to end up picking 12th instead and just. Yeah.
I think anything within the top 20s, I hear is a good pick this year. If you're outside of the top 20, it's not good.
Okay.
They'll get a good player. They'll get a good player. I don't think you have to. I think it's more important to straighten out your team's identity, your team's culture, and figure out what type of team you are, than getting 2 or 3 draft selections ahead of it. Because this has had to be fixed for a long time, and now they're finally doing it.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is you're 3 years away from the playoffs.
No, I originally thought this year they were going to make it, and next year,
Like this year, everything had to go right to make it, though.
yeah,
that didn't
But
happen.
listen, like, we don't need to recap what happened.
No.
With the draft pick with Pinto, the two guys got fired. Like,
Well, you are recapping it now.
there's a lot of
Keep going.
There's a lot of stuff that happened. The ownership thing dragged on. Like I believe that they're going to do some meaningful moves in the summer that are going to help them get better on the fly.
Okay.
Like I don't think they're going to say, yeah, we're going into rebuild mode, because the players are getting to an age now where, like, look at Shabbat, look at Brady. Like, they're not that young anymore.
No. Well, and let's not keep saying the word retool. Like, they should just ban it from Ottawa
Yeah.
hockey.
Yeah.
jargon.
Which word? Retool or rebuild?
Yeah.
Oh, it's either or
Either
for that
or,
matter.
okay,
Like,
yeah.
let's just say, hey, we're just trying to build a team here. We're just
Well,
trying to find the right pieces.
What needs to happen, though, like first and foremost for the rest of the year, hopefully Korpisalo plays well, because if he doesn't play well, then it's like, oh boy,
Yep.
what are we doing now? So we talked about a lot of things today, but that's the biggest concern. He needs to finish off the season playing really well, because that will strike off the biggest concern. So that, to me, that's what I'll be watching for the most.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think have they ever needed a right shot defenseman?
Yeah, that
Go out and get one of them.
No, I don't think that's been brought up
We've
yet.
never talked about
No.
that. But go out and get one of those.
Get one of those.
They
Well-
grow. They grow on trees too.
We got to go, but they
Yeah.
keep talking about Chris
It's
Tanev.
like big time overtime right now. We're on.
No, we're supposed to go to 420.
Oh.
You didn't read the script.
I did not read the script, but I was here and I was
Yeah.
on time.
So that's what I'm just saying. You didn't read the script. That it'll happen in the off season. So you expect more to happen in the off season.
If they could get Tanev, I've talked to a lot of guys in Calgary about him. He'd be perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I thought, because I haven't watched him a lot this year, but I heard he's legit. I don't know about you, Bob.
Oh, yeah.
Like I heard he's a great pro, which they're looking for. I heard he plays really hard, and I've watched him a lot, but not a lot this year. If they could somehow get him, he'd be a great fit. But I think someone's going to pluck him at the trade deadline.
I do too, and I don't know him at all from off the ice or whatever. I mentioned it earlier this week. He's a nightmare to play against. He just does all the little
Yeah.
things correctly. He's always in the way.
Yeah. He'd be
And
perfect.
yeah, and he seems like a guy that just kind of quietly goes about his business, and you can kind of lead by example. I don't think they have enough of that.
Okay.
No, he'd be perfect.
Tonight's the draft. We're going to talk about all the All-Star stuff tomorrow because Bobby was the last draft in the NHL All-Star game before today, right? They ended it in 2015.
Are you telling me, or
After
if you're
it's
telling
Columbus.
me, okay?
Is it Columbus that was
Columbus,
draft?
yeah.
So we'll talk about that tomorrow and see how that went. You went 27th overall. We'll discuss that.
Okay.
So
Nice.
thanks for everybody tuning in. We'll
Got a
see you
mercy
next
pick.
time on Coming In Hot with Brent Wallace, Jason York, and Bobby Ryan.
My family's very own whiskey, barrel-aged and set apart, marked with VO, artfully blended, impeccably crafted, as a wedding gift to my son, for the bride and groom. And now, over a century later, from our very own family to yours, a legacy rooted in whiskey. Seagram's VO, growing deeper, reaching out, raising a glass to your legacy. Seagram's VO, make it your very own.